Nice.
Mr. Speaker, H.R. 3033, the Research Excellence and Advancements for Dyslexia Act, or READ Act, will help millions of Americans who struggle with dyslexia. It is fitting that the House considers this bill today, as October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. Dyslexia affects an estimated 8.5 million school children and 1 in 6 Americans in some form. It causes these individuals to have difficulties with reading, though they often have normal or above average intelligence. Despite the prevalence of dyslexia, many Americans remain undiagnosed, untreated, and silently struggle at school or work. Too many children undiagnosed with dyslexia have difficulties in the classroom and sometimes drop out of school and face uncertain futures. The READ Act requires the National Science Foundation's budget to include a specific line item for the Research in Disabilities Education Program. The bill requires the NSF to invest at least $5 million annually for merit-reviewed, competitively awarded dyslexia research projects. The bill uses funds already appropriated for the NSF and does not authorize any additional spending for these priority projects. NSF research supported by the READ Act is focused on practical applications, which include the following: early identification of children and students with dyslexia, professional development for teachers and administrators of students with dyslexia, curricula and educational tools needed for children with dyslexia, and implementation and scaling of successful models of dyslexia intervention. The House Science, Space, and Technology Committee held a hearing last year on the science of dyslexia. Experts testified how research in the area of neuroscience has led to practical ways to better diagnose and deal with dyslexia, but that more research is necessary. At a second committee hearing held just a few weeks ago, we heard from experts who work directly with dyslexic students and their teachers. They know firsthand about the obstacles these children, parents, and educators face, and they stress the importance of research in developing practical tools. If you can't read, it is hard to achieve. If we change the way we approach dyslexia, we can turn this disability into an opportunity for a brighter and more productive future for millions of Americans. I am a co-chair of the Bipartisan Dyslexia Caucus, along with Congresswoman Julia Brownley, which is comprised of more than 100 members of Congress. I have met hundreds of children and their parents in my congressional district in Texas and others across the U.S. who are affected by dyslexia, and they have shared their personal stories with me. One child I met recently was Eddie, a middle school student from Baltimore. He, along with his family, has been on a long journey to receive a proper diagnosis and find a supportive learning environment. After our meeting, his mother wrote me a letter explaining, quote, "In only 1 year, Eddie has gone from repeatedly missing recess because he would not, quote, try harder, a boy who would stare at his homework in defeat before he has even tried an assignment, to a boy now daring to dream of a career in the sciences," end quote. Eddie is very fortunate to have a mother who advocated for his proper education. He is now not only able to learn, but also to excel. His mother comments, quote, "He is a voracious reader and wants to join the Jet Propulsion Lab or work with NASA," end quote. I also have had the pleasure of meeting an Austin, Texas resident, Robbie Cooper, and her son, Ben. They shared many stories with me about the hardships they have faced in their attempts to ensure Ben receives the best education possible. Ben has even taken his abilities one step further by becoming an advocate and has traveled to D.C. numerous times to lobby Congress so others can learn from his experiences. The Bipartisan READ Act, which unanimously passed the Science Committee 2 weeks ago, will help ensure that all children like Eddie and Ben have the means to succeed. Nothing could be more important to them. I also want to acknowledge 2 young friends who are on the floor with me today, Leighton and Gibson, who have an interest in this bill too. The READ Act is a significant step in the right direction to help those with dyslexia. Thanks go to my Dyslexia Caucus co-chair, Representative Julia Brownley, and the other co-sponsors of the READ Act, such as Congressman Don Beyer, who is handling the other side of this debate tonight, for their interest and support. And I urge my other colleagues to better the lives of millions of children and adults with dyslexia. Now I reserve the balance of my time.